Hi, and welcome to this training series on buttons. In this series, we will guide you through the button software, showing you step-by-step how it works, what it can do, and how it simplifies system control. In this video, we will show you how to add surfaces. From the home screen, click on the Surface button in the left sidebar. This will bring you into the Surface user interface. From here, you can add and configure the different surfaces in your system. On a fresh system, you will find a listing of the MDNS discovered surfaces on your network, and the way we add them to our system is simply by clicking on them. This will bring up a context menu where you have the options to adopt device, adopt and create a position, adopt, create a position, and navigate to it. For now, we will just adopt the device into our system. By clicking on Adopt Device, this will bring up the Surface configuration screen. We always recommend renaming the devices you add to your system so that they are easier to recognize at a later stage or if you have many similar devices. You will also find information about the device, like serial number, IP address, and the port number. And you can also add tags to the device for even better organization. This box will show you which position the surface is assigned to, and the type of device and firmware version is shown here. This is a slider that controls the backlighting on the surface, letting you control the brightness of the LCDs and LEDs on the surface. You can also delete the device from your system or reboot the surface. When you turn on this button, the first button on your device, and for the Stream Deck Studio also, the LED ring around the encoders will start to flash. When you have made changes to your settings, you will need to save it, and you can do that by clicking the Save button here, or by pressing Command S or Control S, depending on which operating system you are working on. Here at the bottom of the screen, we have a Stream Deck Studio emulator, and we will use this throughout this training series to show you what's going on the actual surfaces. One thing you will notice is that the buttons change as you adopt and assign the surface on your system. So let's adopt the emulator into the system as well. Just as before, we click on it, and then we choose Adopt from the context menu. We rename it to Emulator and save. So now the first button on the emulator shows us the name of the surface in the system. Just to show you how the Identify Device button works, here you have an example. Let's turn that back off. You will also notice that there is a warning here in the configuration window and also here in the surface list. This shows you that there is a newer version of the firmware for the device and gives you the option of doing an upgrade by pushing this button. So now we have added a couple of surfaces to our system, but we also need to assign them to a position. And we can do this in a couple of different ways. One way might be that you have already pre-configured your different positions based on the real-life working positions at your venue or workplace, like we have done here. But you can also create a new one by pushing the Create button up here. This will bring up a dialog box and you just need to give the position a name. Let's just call this Test, then just press Enter or click Create Position. This will bring you into the Position User Interface. Here you will go into the configuration pane on the far right of the screen, and down here at the bottom of the screen, we have a button called Assign Surface. So let's add the emulator to this position. You will notice that the buttons on the emulator changed again, now showing nothing to reflect what's on the canvas at the moment. You will also notice that there is an outline here in the canvas, showing you 2 rows of 16 cells, and there's an outline over here in the canvas preview. Here you can move the surface around on the canvas, organizing it in the way you like. Maybe to reflect the real-world placement of your surfaces in accordance with each other. If we add another surface to this position, now you will see that it gets placed below the first one on the canvas. If you wanted to have the exact same configuration on both surfaces, you could just move them on top of each other, and they would just be duplicates showing and doing the exact same thing. You can also remove a surface from a position here in the configurator, simply by clicking on the red X behind the surface in the Assigned Surfaces window. Another way to assign surfaces is back in the Surface UI. This is particularly useful if you have pre-configured your positions. For each of the adopted surfaces, there is a Assign Position button, and when you click on it, a context menu appears, showing you the positions already existing on your system. There are also a couple of other features here in the Surface user interface. You can select the detail level in the surfaces list by clicking on this button, and that will toggle between minimal and maximal detail view. You can also show and hide the discovered but not adopted devices from the list by clicking here on this text at the bottom of the surfaces list. And last but not least, you can manually add surfaces that are not automatically discovered. For instance, if they are on another subnet that is accessible but does not support MDNS discovery across subnets. or if you want to add other surfaces like the iPad. Just click the Add button here at the top and choose the surface you want to add. We will pick the iPad and give it a name, click on Create Surface or press Enter, and that will bring up the surface settings for the iPad surface. You can open the surface just by clicking on the button here, and that will open it in the browser on the machine you are working on. If you want to open it up on another machine, and it shows you the local loopback IP as it does here, you will need to exchange this part of the URL with the actual IP of the machine running buttons. This brings us to the end of this training. See you back here for more training on the button software.
I hope this was helpful. Make sure to subscribe for more training videos like this.